सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om, salutations to all. Volume is not clear. So we saw in the sixth canto that Yamadootas and the Dootas of Vishnu Bhagwan both have come to take Ajamil because he was on the verge of death, and he called out to his son Narayana, and so Vishnudootas came there. Now when the Vishnudootas came, Yamadootas came first, then the Vishnudootas came. And there we see that the Yamadootas are asking them that you look so resplendent, so divine, you have four arms, you have Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, all these. Who are you all? And they say that, driving away darkness of the quarters and overshadowing all other material lights by your splendor, what for do you hinder us? We are servants of Yama. Why have you come to stop us? And so the Vishnu Dutas, they have a discussion, and they ask Yamadutas about Dharma because Yamaraj is Dharmaraj also. And so this description comes in this first chapter in the sixth canto, verse number 38. So the messengers of Vishnu Bhagwan, what did they say? The Vishnu Dutas, what did they say? Vishnu Dutaha uchuhu yuyam vai dharmarajasya yadi nirdeshakarinah bhruta dharmasya nastatvam yaccha dharmasya lakshanam. If you are really the servants of Yamaraj, who is Dharmaraj also, then Bhruta Dharmasya Nastatvam. What is the Tattva of Dharma? What is the essence of Dharma? You tell that to us. And Dharmasya Lakshanam. And also how to ascertain what is Dharma and what is Adharma. Katham svid dhriyate dandaha kim vasya sthanam ipsitam dandya kim karina sarve ahosvit Katichindranam. Then the next question they ask is, how is punishment meted out and who is supposed to be actually punished? Are all the doers subject to punishment or only some in the human species? Kim Karina Sarve Ahosvit katichit nrinam? That's the question. So first aspect is about dharma, and second is everybody subject to punishment or only a few people? That's as a context. We'll come to that context. So Yamadootas, they start replying. So this is a very beautiful portion in Bhagavatam where about dharma one will come to understand. So Yamadootaha uchuhu, 40th shloka. वेद प्रणिहितो धर्मो यधर्मस्तद्विपर्ययः वेदो नारायणः साक्षात् स्वयंभूरिति शुश्रुमा. This is one very important shloka. In that also the first half. What is dharma? This is the answer for it. Veda pranihito dharmo. What is described or what is the injunction of the Veda, that is dharma. Hi adharmaha tad viparyayaha. Dharmo hi, that's the line, and then adharmaha tad viparyayaha. Whatever is enjoined by the Vedas, when we follow that, then that is dharma. When we go against that, then that is adharma. Now we have to understand it is not only certain things which are literally mentioned in the Veda, but also the principle behind it, which is then applicable in today's context also. So this dharma is described in the Veda as per what? Because see, dharma applies to whom? It applies only to human beings because we have the buddhi through which we are self-aware. Sukshma buddhi we have. The other creatures, they have only sthula buddhi. So they can do the viveka, discrimination between what to eat, what not to eat, who is a friend, who is an enemy, all that. And that happens very instinctively. But we have freedom, we have choice, and we have this buddhi, which is why dharma comes into play. An animal, suppose a lion is killing a deer, dharma doesn't come into play because that is instinct and that animal will kill only when it is hungry. It will not kill out of greed, it will not kill just for entertainment, and it doesn't have karta bhav. But human being, we have karta bhav, we have an intent, we have a particular motive, and then we have the capability to choose to do something, not to do something completely differently. All that free will is not there with the animals. So that's why dharma is important for us, because our dharma will create karma. So this dharma, when it creates karma, it will have its consequences, and that become the seed for future lives. Same, when we follow dharma properly as given in the Veda, we can become free from the cycle of birth and death. Also come to realize the Supreme Self. So what is given in the Veda is dharma. And what is given in the Veda? It will be given as per our Varnashrama Dharma. What is our temperament? What is our stage in life? Ashrama is our stage in life. What are our gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, that mixture? That temperament is based on that. What are the universal values? What is the higher purpose of human life? All this will determine what are the roles that I am playing. In every role, I have a certain duty. So, according to Varnashrama Dharma, according to the Kartavya, what is there as per the roles, according to the universal values, the duties, a lot of things are given which are Dharma. And that's why one has to study the Veda. So, here he says, Veda pranihito dharmo, dharmo hi, and adharma tad viparyayaha. And if we don't follow that, then that leads to adharma. And what are the Vedas? Vedo Narayana Sakshat. Vedas are none other than Bhagwan himself. That's why we revere Veda as Ved Bhagwan. Veda is not a book. Vid means to know, knowledge. Bhagwan is Jnana Swarup and Bhagwan himself manifests as the Veda. Also, we have this clarity that Vedas are Swayambhu. They are not created by human beings. And so, because they are not created by human beings, they don't have those limitations of the human intellect. The human intellect has certain limitations. Any human composition will have certain flaws, certain uh, prejudices that come in, like our senses, our mind, intellect is very limited. And so our senses, what they can perceive, and if we think only what we perceive is real, then of course there has a certain it has a certain limitation. And if our writings, compositions are based on our sensory perceptions alone, then there could be challenges. Same way our mind has raga and dvesha, our buddhi has a certain attachment to certain ideas, certain opinions. So like that, there are various limitations, we should say. We have delusions, wrong notions. So Brahma is one. Pramada, there is intellectual um, carelessness, lethargy, not willing to put enough effort. So Brahma, Pramada, Karana, Patava. So there is limitation of the senses. Like that, there are different limitations which are there of our human composition, because human equipment has limitation. That is not there in the Veda. Why? Because it's not written by human beings, it is a revelation by Bhagwan himself. And Vedo Narayana Sakshat. Bhagwan Narayana himself appears in the form of the Veda, in the form of the knowledge, and guides everyone. And we find that scriptures say that Vedas are not even created by Bhagwan. Because Bhagwan, if he creates something, it will perish. Whatever is created will perish. Veda is imperishable knowledge. And that's why it is said, Yasya Nishwasitam Vedaha. Vedas are the very breath of Bhagavan, meaning Vedas and Bhagavan are together. If there is no breath, there is no person. It is like that. And that's why Vedo Narayana Sakshat. Veda is Bhagavan himself. Vedas are the breath of Bhagavan himself. And the Vedas, that's why it is said Sakshat Swayambhu Riti Shushruma. This is what we have heard. The Yamadootas, they say that they are not created by anybody, including Bhagavan. They are self-existent, which means they and Bhagavan are one, because there can't be two self-existent infinite entities. And hence, here it is said that Bhagavan himself is the Veda and the knowledge given, and that's why one of the names of Bhagavan Vishnu in the Vishnu Sahasranam is Dharma. Dharma Dharma Viduttamaha. So he is Dharma himself, and he is the best knower of Dharma also. Dharma Viduttamaha. So first line he says about Dharma, because they want to know, the Vishnudootas want to know that what is the essence of Dharma and how do you determine Dharma, you tell us. So first answer is that, then Yena Swadham Nyami Bhava, Yena Swadham Nyami Bhava Rajasattva Tamomayaha Guna Nama Kriya Rupaihi Vibhavyante Yatha Tatham. So they go on to explain that all this Srishti is made up of three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And each of them, then they have evolved. So Nama, Rupa, Guna, Kriya, all these So the variety that we see in this Srishti is because of this three gunas. Now, one very important thing he says that when a person does dharma or when a person does adharma, who is the witness of these? See, we think that I did something alone, nobody saw. That is in the worldly way we think. Now see what beautifully it is said here. Suryaha, Agnihi, Kham. Kham means space. Marut means air. Gavaha, cows. Somaha, moon. Sandhya is the twilight. Ahani is the daytime. Dishaha, the 10 directions. Kamku Kalo. Then the water, the earth, and time. Water, earth, time. Dharma iti hyete Daihyasya Sakshinaha. These 13 things are the witness of a jiva's actions. Whether people saw it or not, anyone else saw it or not, these 13 are the witness. Sometimes all the 13 are there, sometimes some are there. In the sense that the cows, we may think that cows are not there nowadays in our houses and all that, but the others are there or not. And all these are not the inert things, please remember. They are all devatas. So go mata we say. So even if you don't have a cow, these are all the devatas. Surya devata, Agni devata, then Akash devata, then Vayu devata, then the cows, then moon, then daytime, then the night time, then the directions, then the water, then the earth, then the time. All these and dharma itself means Dharmaraj, Yamaraj himself. We only think of one, na? We think only Yamaraj is aware and he, Chitragupta, writes all our, accounts. It is not only that Yamaraj. Yamaraj is in fact in this last mentioned. The other 12 are mentioned before Yamaraj. So for us, the idea here is that all this, the entire Srishti is presided over by so many divine forces. Gross view of the Srishti is that this is Jadavastu, this is inert. But Vedanta and the Vedic knowledge, they tell us very clearly that sentiency, consciousness pervades this whole Srishti, and these devatas are all there who are the sentient forces, phenomenal forces. And Prakriti is not by itself just Jada as we think about it. Five elements are not Jadavastu by themselves as we think about it. Consciousness pervades them also. Because there can be nothing else without consciousness. None of them will even exist. And so we find that all these 13 aspects, they are witness of our senses. The cow, yes, you can also take it as the uh, sense our indriyas. Cow can be literally cow. Lots of places cow is there, and we say cow is not ordinary for us. It's the devatas are there in it. But cow you can also take as indriyas. Again, in indriyas, it is not the eye by themselves which is a witness. No? It is the devatas who are there in these 10 senses. So all that and 10 senses which are external, meaning which are 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, but then also the antakarana is the inner sense. Mind, intellect, memory, ego, and all these, they have the devatas. So all of them they are the witness of what is dharma and what is adharma. Because they will preside over various faculties of ours, inside, outside, and they know our motive, they know what is the past history of ours, why we are doing something, and so many of these aspects of creation. So he says here that they all are there who are the witness of whatever karma the jiva has done. Daihyasya sakshinaha. Etaihi adharmo vignataha sthanam dandasya yujyate. And this evidence is given by them. Unrighteousness as ascertained by the evidence of these are determined to be fit occasion for punishment, because that's what was the question, no? That how is punishment meted out and who is actually punished. So he says when a person does adharma, which is meaning those actions which are contrary to the Veda, then these 13 factors, based on the evidences by them, the punishment is meted out, which means there is no partiality. One. Two, this is the jury. The jury is there. The 13 factors are the jury. They are watching and they note down everything. And when the jiva is given punya papa based on that, whatever the body and the loka and all that will happen. So this is the jury. It is like that. And they are everywhere. Five elements are everywhere, and they are devatas. Again, I am saying they are not the jada vastu, what we think space as space externally, sun, fire, moon. No, not like that. They are the devatas. And so they say that based on the evidences given by these, now one says, oh, do they do for every jiva? How is it possible for every jiva? They have their sub departments, they have devatas under them, they will manage all that. Why are we worried? Our job should be to follow the Veda and find what is dharma and live by dharma. Now, even in, there's a ministry, law, whatever the ministry is there, they will have so many people below them or not. Judges also, they have so many assistants and this and that. Lawyers also, they have so many assistants and all like that. The Srishti, the Devatas also have. We don't have to worry about that. So they determine. So that's why he says, Etai adharmo vijñataha sthanam dandasya yujyate sarve karmanurodhena dandam arhanti karinaha. And so all the doers, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, as long as I am a karta, whether I am a sattvic, rajasic or tamasic karta, the result will come based on the karma. Punya or papa will be the result based on the satkarma or dushkarma. Only when I go beyond the karta bhav, then I am freed from it. So now he says this is the basis, that each jiva as per their karma, influenced by their gunas, is given the karma phala, and the evidence is by these 13. And so that's why when somebody says that in the world nobody knows, that is only from worldly standpoint. If some karma has happened where nobody knows anything, then how to give a result? There is no witness, nothing, and somebody has done whatever karma, but one can't prove it. That happens in our worldly limitation. In the Srishti, there is no such limitation. Everything is known. However secretly the person will do, the presiding devatas of the senses are there. The world is there, Srishti is there, sun, moon, fire, space, directions, all of them are there. So there is no escape. See, the idea here is, sometimes we may feel it difficult to believe all this and we may say this is very primitive and I don't think this is true. Now that's why Shraddha in the Shastra is required, that is one. Two, what is the main intent? The intent is that if we follow Dharma, Dharma is that which helps me to retain my level as a human and evolve higher. Dharana Dharma, one meaning of Dharma is Dharana Dharma, that which holds which upholds us, which does not allow us to fall. Fall to what? Fall to animalistic levels, fall to instinct levels, live as a human, as an intelligent person, as a person who can make appropriate choices and evolve higher. Don't devolve. That which prevents my devolution and helps my evolution is dharma. That's the main point. Second, I become sensitive and aware that everything around me, there's a sentient force. It helps me to become more kind, compassionate, sensitive, alert, and follow the path of dharma. And third and most important, nothing, I am never alone in the universe. So whatever I do, it will have consequences. So why should I do adharma which will unnecessarily bring suffering for me? That's the main import here. Otherwise, one will get into technicalities and then one will get into these vain arguments whether this is true or not true. That doesn't lead us anywhere. There are sentient forces, there is no doubt. If one sees very clearly, consciousness pervades the whole universe. And so one finds that beautiful answer this Yamadootas have given. Sambhavanti bhadrani viparitani chanaghaha karinam guna sangosti dehavanna hyakarmakrit. So for the good as well as the evil deeds are capable of being done by men given to action. One can do anything, no? Sambhavantiha bhadrani viparitani. Oh sinless ones. So Yamadutas are calling Vishnudutas, oh sinless ones, anaghaha. Why? Because they are always identified with three gunas. Karinam guna sangosti. Dehavan. There is an identification with the body. Nahi akarmakrit. And they are not in that higher state of non-doership. So if somebody has gone beyond the three gunas and established oneself as realized beings, Atmanishta they have attained, anyway they will be following dharma only. In fact, what they do will become dharma. But those who are still having doership, then Veda will apply to them and the rules of karma will apply to them. And that's why he says here that this is how the actions will get the results, and everybody, whoever is the karta, depending on what their temperament is, what their mental makeup is, with what intent they have done karma, all those factors are there, but they will all get karma phala. Then, having said that, yena yavan yatha dharmo veha samihitaha sa eva tat phalam bhungte tatha tavad amutravai. So this is the law of karma now. So what is that law of karma is saying? When a sinful action or a virtuous action is done by the person in the world, then that person only will be the bhokta for it. Somebody else will not get the result for it. That person will get it. So he alone by whom a virtuous or a sinful act was performed in this world reaps in the other world the fruit of it. So they will get here or hereafter. Certain karmas will give result only later. So in the other world. In the same manner, meaning as per what is the karma they have done, they will get the result. And to what extent will be the result? To the same extent that the karma is. Meaning the karma determines the quality and the quantity of the result. It does not happen randomly. If somebody thinks it happens randomly, that is not how it is. Whoever that person may be a great devotee, but if that devotee does a wrong karma, they will get a result accordingly and they may have to suffer some consequences. And if a so-called sinner does even a good karma, that person will get punya for it. So there is nobody who is excused, because the question also was asked that are all the doers subject to the karma phala or the punishment, or only some are given? So he clarifies saying no, there is no partiality, everybody is given the karma as per their karma phala, as per their karma. Yatheha deva pravaras traividyam upalabhyate bhuteshu guna vaichitriat tathanyatranumiyate. And so he goes on to say, they go on to say that just as in this world there are found three varieties of beings. So those who are living a life of ease, those dragging a miserable existence, and those who are partly happy, partly miserable. That is one type of classification. Or those who are tranquil, those who are ferocious, those who are dull. Or those who are pious by temperament, who are vicious by nature, who are of a mixed temperament. So all this based on the three gunas. So because of the diversity of the three gunas, each one will get the karma phala according to the guna in which they have done the karma and whatever type of karma that is. So they will get the corresponding result. And what will be the result? For good karmas, happiness; bad karmas, sorrow; mixed karmas, mixed result. So one will get in this life or in another life. Now, so this discussion is quite a long, nice discussion. It goes on. Vartamanon yayo kalo gunabhignapako yatha evam janmanya yote he evam janman yayoretad dharma dharma nidarshanam. So he says that they say that just as this present period of time, what does that indicate? That indicates the characteristics of the past as well as future rounds of the same period. In the same way, the current life of this person is illustrative of the past merit and the sins of the past as well as of the future. Meaning what? If today my life has happiness predominantly, that means a lot of punya I must have done. If there is a lot of sorrow, then some papa karma has happened in the past and that is getting exhausted. Same way punya also is getting exhausted. If there is a mixture of whatever equal proportion or little unequal proportions also, that means some papa punya mixture has fructified. And how I act today, that will also indicate my future. That if I do righteous actions in this life, or I do unrighteous, or I do a mixture, predominantly righteous, little unrighteous, predominantly unrighteous, little righteous, whatever that combination is, that will indicate my future also. That what kind of life I will have in future. And that's why law of karma is very, very powerful. One can escape anything else in the world. Whatever, CBI and ED and FBI and NIA and whatever is there, CIA, whatever is there in this world. Judiciary and bureaucracy and anything one can escape with some smartness, but one can't escape law of karma. Impossible. One will get as per one's karmas, the actions. Now he gives one example of the dream. Manasaiva pure devaha purva rupam vipashyati anumimam sate purvam manasa Bhagavan Ajaha. So like the dream example, he says that even as a man in sleep treats as his self the body revealed in the dream alone and not the one existing before the dream state, nor that which will follow the dream state. So the ignorant jiva identifies with this and has no knowledge of the preceding or of the succeeding, having lost all memory of the past incarnation. So one identifies with this body, thinks I am this, and then does so many karmas, forgetting that array I was in another life earlier, I may be in another life in future, but because one doesn't remember, consciously one doesn't remember those lives. So one thinks this is very, very real. And now identified with this, the person acts. If the person has some self mastery over the body, mind, intellect, then that person will live as per Veda. Otherwise, the person lives licentiously, as per one's own, whatever one thinks right, wrong. But the result will still come as per the universal laws only. It doesn't depend on I, that whatever I think is right and wrong. No, no. That's why importance is to study the scripture. Even in the world we see or not. I may think something about law, whatever are the law in this laws in the country, civil law, criminal law, whatever are those laws. I may know nothing about it, and I may think that this law is wrong, this should be changed, this should not be applicable, this should be like this, that should not be like that. It doesn't bother, it doesn't depend on my acceptance or non-acceptance, or it doesn't depend on my approval. If I do something, the result will come according to the law of the land. It does not wait for my approval. In the whole Srishti also it is like that. There are laws which are there, universal laws, revealed in the Veda also. If one follows those, well and good, one can know how to live in harmony and get out of this false identification. If one doesn't follow, then result will not come based on what I think is right and wrong. Based on what is the universal principle, according to that the result will come. Then I can't say why did this happen to me. Then we should have acted intelligently. Knowing what is written in the Veda, understanding it and following it appropriately, if one does, the result will come accordingly. Today, because we have gone so far away from the Vedic knowledge and the Vedic way of living, then one thinks all this is not applicable. It is not like that. It is applicable whether we know it or not. A small child doesn't know about law of gravity, but if the child falls from the first floor, it will fall. It will get hurt, injured. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So one has to learn, one has to find out. Especially because we have a buddhi, we can explore a lot. There's so much more that can be done. One can't give an excuse saying, no, I didn't know. Today, where do I know? There are enough books available today, translations, talks, commentaries, many things available on the Veda. So one has to find out. Now, he's saying all this because the point is that there's no partiality involved. Any jiva, whoever the jiva is, will get as per the law of karma. Then he says that the jiva itself constituting the 17th principle, meaning the 10 senses and the mind and the 5 objects of senses. So this jiva is the 17th one, means ahankara, Mr. So and so, who uses the 5 senses of knowledge, 5 senses of action and the mind, as well as interacts with the world of objects. That individual, they say here, that discharges its own functions with the senses of action. So grasping, moving, speaking, evacuating, reproduction, all that engages in the world using 5 senses of action, 5 senses of knowledge, and with the mind. All this, when the jiva does, it is this jiva who travels from one body to another. The jivatma goes from one body to another based on its own karma. It is not the gross body which goes anywhere, that anyway is buried or burnt. Atma doesn't travel because Atma by itself is Sachidananda, it is all pervasive, it doesn't go anywhere, doesn't come anywhere. Then what left the body and went? So the subtle body it went. So he says here that this well-known subtle body constituting of the 16 parts and which is a product of the three gunas and exceedingly tenacious subjects the jiva again and again to transmigration. And in that one goes through joy, sorrow, fear, attachment, all that one goes through. It is that jiva who they have come to take. Ajamil, the body will remain here. That the jivatma of Ajamil is what they have come to take. Now that jiva who has not mastered this BMI, who has not risen above the three gunas, is subject to this cycle of birth and death. So that's why I say the ignorant jiva who thinks of oneself as this body, as the jiva, and has not subdued the five senses of perception and the mind is prompted to fall back upon action, veiling itself with a network of karma. And the example given is like the silkworm. Silkworm wraps itself in the cocoon made by its own saliva. Like that, in our own karmic bond, we are stuck. Why? Because I don't know, I am infinite consciousness, ignorant. And when I am ignorant, then I act as a jiva. Now that jiva has desire based on sattva, rajas, tamas, the different types of desires. Now all desires will not get fulfilled in one life. Then what to do? Next life. And in those lives, if one is a human, then one can keep on creating new karma. If there is only bhoga yoni, then one will drop that body. New karma don't get added in that body. But once again, when human comes, again the cycle will start. Swamiji, then it's better to be only an animal. One can be an animal to exhaust the bhoga vrittis, bhoga vasanas that one has in certain ways where you need an animal body. Then, but evolution can't happen. Evolution will happen only in human body. Consciously, I can drop this ignorance. I can burn away the ignorance through fire of knowledge only in this life as a human being. If one knows very clearly, enough now, how many times will I go into the womb of the mother and come suffering out of that place and then live in this samsara, that also is sarvam dukkham dukkham. I want to get out of this cycle of birth and death. I want to realize Parabrahma Tattva. Only in human life that one can do. One can't do that in animal life. That will only just exhaust and again come back to those karmas where I need human life to continue the evolution. And so that's why he says that like a silkworm wraps itself in a cocoon, the jiva also stands bewildered, saying, what is this? I am caught in my own web of karma. The more karma I do, the more karma baggage is increasing. And I can't stay without doing karma. So how do I get out of this? Now, they further go ahead and they say that indeed none remains actionless at any time, even for an instant, for everyone is forcibly implied by their own attachment. And that's what we said, no, that not a single second I can stay without action. And if I act, I am creating more karmas. Now, there is no way out. One can't figure out how to come out of this state. And that's why he says ahead that when one finds an occasion of merit or sin because of past action, this jiva, who is identifying oneself with the body and with the individuality, actually molds itself either after the womb, the mother's body, or after the seed, the father's body, according to the tendencies of the past. According to the irresistible tendencies of the jiva occupying it. Meaning whatever the tendencies of that jiva is, based on that, influenced by the mother and the father, this jiva comes into the body and there is a karmic bond that is also created and then the jiva will be born. So, from the state of infinite consciousness, one has forgotten one's true nature and fallen to this level where cycles of birth and death one will go into. An appropriate womb of the parents, as per the past tendencies, as per the karmic connection between these three parents, the father, mother, and the child, the jiva goes into the womb. In that life, the jiva creates further karmic bondages. So, this is all because one doesn't know what is the truth, because one has not surrendered the ego. So, this degeneration of the soul has been due to association with Prakriti. And what is the way out? The way out is only through surrender to Bhagavan. That's the way out. Esha Prakriti Sangena Purushasya Viparyayaha Asit Sa Eva Nachirad Isha Sangad Viliyate. Isha Sangad Viliyate. Only through surrender can one get out of this. Surrender means drop the bhavana that I am this jiva and realize I am one with Ishvara through Bhakti Marg or through Jnana Marg, whichever one chooses. Now they have given the answers properly for those questions in terms of the philosophy behind it. That this whole thing happens only by law of karma, and we have come to take this jiva whose karmas are exhausted, and this jiva has to go as per its karma into many further lives. And till the jiva doesn't surrender, till the jiva doesn't come to realize its own true nature, this cycle will continue. Now they come specifically to Ajamil's case. So what do they say about Ajamila? They say that this Ajamila was a very learned Brahmana. Ayam hi Shruta Sampannaha Sheela Vritta Gunalayaha Dhritavrato Mriduhu Dantaha Satyavan Mantravit Shuchihi. These are all qualities of Ajamil before. Think about it. That who was Ajamil? Shruta Sampanna. He had learned the Vedas. Sheela Vritta Gunalayaha is a very abode of Sheela, good conduct and amiability and guna, virtues. Then Dhritabrato, he has taken up a vow of worship that every day he will worship Bhagwan, and he used to follow that. Mriduhu, he was very soft spoken. And Dantaha lives in self control, his senses are in his control. Satyavan always speaks the truth. Mantravit knows the mantras of the Vedas. And Shuchihi, very clean externally as well as in his conduct, in his thinking. Such a person, further, he goes on to explain some more things that Gurvajnatithi Vriddhanam Shushrushur Nirahankritaha. That what does he do? He always has seva bhav and he serves whom? His preceptors. So Guru, Atithi, the guests, Vriddha, the elderly people, Shushrushu Nirahankritaha. He always has humility and he also does all the Vedic rituals and all those, Agnihotra Karma and all that. So he is a very Dharma Parayan person. As per the Veda, what is written, he follows all that. Sarva Bhuta Suhrit, he is a well-wisher of all the beings. Sadhu, very good in conduct. Sadhur Mitavak, speaks very measured words, and Anasuyakaha, does not have jealousy. These two shlokas are all the qualities of Ajamil, meaning to say that what is the dharma indicated in the Veda, this Ajamil was following that actually. He was a nice Brahmana who was living by the Vedic injunctions. Now what happened? Once, Ekada Asau Vanam Yataha, he went to the forest once, and Pitru Sandesha Krid Dvijaha. So when he went as per the command of the father, then Adaya Tata Avrittaha Phala Pushpa Samit Kushan. Because why did he go? because he has to bring some fruit, some flower, some kusha grass. For that he went. And he was returning, Avrittaha. He was returning having got all this, what the father told him to get. So he was bringing all this. Then what did he see? Dadarsha Kaminam Kanchit Shudram Saha Bhujishyaya. Pitva cha madhu maireyam madadhurni tane trayaha. So now what happened? While he was returning, he saw one Shudra, very lusty fellow, shameless fellow, who was copulating with a prostitute. He was completely drunk. He was not in his senses, and he was with this prostitute, and she is also drunk completely, and they both are completely naked. They are engaging in the act of copulation. There, this fellow he sees. Now, this Brahmana he sees. Drashtva tam kamaliptena bahuna parirambitam. They are entwined with each other around their arms, and this full of lust. They are like that, and he sees them. Jagama hritchaya vasham sahasaiva vimohitaha. Now, that one sight, what did that do to him? It completely invoked passion in him, and he succumbed to it. He could not control his mind. Stambhayanatmanatmanam yavat sattvam yathashrutam na shashaka samadhatum mano madana vepitam. See, very powerful line this is. He was not able to control his mind because completely lust had overpowered his mind, and he tried, to control his mind. Yavat sattvam yathashrutam, as per what capability he has, what knowledge he has, using all the logic and Vedic knowledge, everything that he had. What did he do? He tried to control his mind, and he failed in that. Why? Because Kama completely overpowered him. He had become Stambha. Stambha means he is stunned, benumbed. Looking at that act, Kama has overpowered him so much that now his mind is possessed by that. See, in the Manusmriti it comes, Kama turanam na bhayam na lajja. If somebody is overpowered with lust, then what happens? There is no fear, there is no shame. Now, like that, when his mind was overpowered, what did he do? He brought that woman home, gave her all the property of his father, because he has become so blinded in passion that he wants to please her. So he brought her home, he gave her the property of the father. His own wife he sent away, and his wife was a Brahman girl, still in the prime of the youth, who was from a noble family. He sent her out, and he completely spent all the money on this prostitute, and then he started borrowing, begging, stealing, looting, gambling, drinking. Look at that Brahmana, how he fell, that spiritual person who was following all the things meticulously, he fell because of this. And he had many children through this prostitute, and he was very, very impulsive, instinctive, forgot whatever the Veda said. Now he's doing exactly opposite. All adharma he is doing, leading a very sinful life in a very impure state, and he was completely fallen. Eating food also that is, cooked with all this type of money that he has got through killing, looting, plundering by unfair means. And this woman also not of pure conduct. Man also has fallen like that. So the Yamadutas say, that's why we have come and we have to take him and to the presence of Yama, and there he will get purified by the punishment that is given. So, yatra dandena shuddhyati, that's an important line. Danda is not, punishment is not for the sake of punishment, that you are a bad person, so you deserve to be beaten. Not like that. It is to purify the mind. Dandena shuddhyati. To make that person understand that what he did was wrong and how it is hurtful, harmful, it is not good. And so punishment is meant for that. It is to bring about repentance, purification, and that the person doesn't do it again. So now this is where this chapter ends. What do the Vishnudutas reply? That we will see in the next satsang. For today we will stop here. Any questions? Then you can ask. You can think about it, that what is the purpose of then the study of the Vedas, etc. also. One should not take it in this wrong context that okay, this person didn't, he studied the Vedas and he also fell, so what is the point of studying the Vedas? So we are better off not studying the Veda. Don't take that wrong meaning. We will come to that elaboration in the next satsang anyways. Yes, Nilamji.
Swamiji, this may Hari Om first of all. Swamiji, this may be a very basic question, but just little more clarification. So you said the five elements have consciousness. That is the Sat principle, right?
Yes.
So then, so we have. So are there? Do we have three different principles in us? The Sat also, the Chit also, and the Anand also.
See, we have to understand when we say five elements, Sat principle, of course, everything has Sat principle, otherwise it will not exist.
Correct.
Chit Ananda, they are not three different principles, they are one and the same, but they will express as three depending on the equipment. Like electricity is one. In a bulb, it will manifest as light, in a radio as music, in a heater as hot water, right?
Correct.
Electricity is only one. Equipment is different. Same way, the equipment of certain things has only the sthula sharira, so it can't express chit and anand. The beings who are living, so the jivas like plants, birds, animals, they have a sukshma sharira. That sukshma sharira has the capability of manifesting chit as conscious, as a principle where we are able to act and then receive a stimuli and we respond. So there's a awareness and so-called life and response as we see. So Chit and Anand can be experienced or expressed by a jiva who has this subtle body. Now, when we say five elements, two things we have to remember. Five elements, externally what we see, of course they have such principle, there is no doubt. But that external expression is also a gross expression of a subtle state, no? So that is the Devata. So when we say Vayu, air, what we see, that air of course has Sat principle. It does not have Chit principle in the sense it doesn't have a subtle body as air, physical air. It is only hydrogen, oxygen. But there is a Devata. So we say Vayu Devata, Varun Devata, Agni Devata, Surya Devata. Those Devatas, they are Chaitanya. So those Devatas are the presiding forces who govern the functioning of these elements, and they are the Sakshis. So that's how the Chit Shakti is there through the Devatas for this Jada Vastu also. Right. Okay, so we will do the Arati and then conclude.
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की, मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बणिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अटकी, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल पैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी, मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की, मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की, मंगल जुगल प्रिया भावन की, मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की, मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति डोल की, मंगल आरती। मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम्, नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतो यमग्निः, तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं, तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।